What's up guys, I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another Zombies Q&A on the channel where we take your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs and other things, and we answer them. So as always, if you enjoyed today's video, you guys know what to do. If you want to, drop a like rating. If not, it's up to you guys. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Click that notification icon, and without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go. So the first question says, who wrote the Chronorium? Well, we really know nothing about this book, or book. You know what, guys, just please leave me alone. But we only really know a couple of things about it. As far as who created it, we don't know. I don't think it has an author, as we know that the writing inside of it changes depending on whoever reads it. So someone hasn't actually written the writing in this book. It actually writes itself whenever you open it and read it. It doesn't have an author. But who created it, we don't know. We know that before this, the Chronorium was locked in Maxus's safe in the empty earth. He kept it here surrounded by cyborg zombies, but we don't know where Maxis got the Chronorium from. And by the way, this isn't the version of Maxis that we see in Revelations, this is an alternate one, but we don't know where the Chronorium even originates from. Does it have something to do with the Keepers, the Apothecans, Monty? How old is he? All of these questions we don't have answers to. The next question of today from Lego Hero 12 Gaming says, BOA, what do you think the Easter egg will be for Blood of the Dead? Well, obviously that's a difficult one to answer because we literally know nothing about the map. We've only seen a couple of seconds for the trailer, and that didn't really show us anything either. However, we do know that we are playing as our premise characters in what looks like Purgatory in Mob of the Dead. Richtofen still has the blood vials on him. However, we weren't able to tell if the other characters have, so why exactly are we here? What are we going to be doing here? What is the Easter egg gonna be? Well, some people think that Blood of the Dead is going to take place between Zetsubo Noshima and Gorod Kurovi when the four characters teleported to Mob of the Dead to collect the blood vials. And so if that was the case, the Easter egg would probably be us collecting the blood from here. However, like I said, from the trailer you can see that we are in Purgatory, and so because of that, other people think that maybe we're here during a different time. This is after they've been here to collect the blood. They are here for a second time for some other reason, and we've also been told that this is going to be a whole new story. Treyarch have said that this is one of their most exciting projects yet, and so with that you think, well, the Easter egg in here is going to be something totally random that we don't know about. Obviously we know all about them coming here to collect the blood, so if that's the case you would think, well, it's got to be something else. They must be here for another reason. But then the question would have to be, well, exactly when did they come here? Because they wouldn't have had time. Straight after Revelations they were teleported to Primus. They were sent back to become Primus during the Great War. When exactly does Blood of the Dead take place? We don't know. And so, like you said, what do I think the Easter egg will be? Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't even know the time as to when we're coming here, so my guess is as good as yours. We're here in Purgatory, so maybe it could have something to do with Sal, Finn, Bill and Al. But again, I really do not know. A quick one to answer from Edgar Gaming YouTube says, BOA, what are the teleporters created from? And that is 115. Well, the thing they use to get it working is 115. That is a key component. But yeah, metal and 115. The next question of today says, how did zombies all start? So you may remember a few weeks ago during E3, Treyarch had a conference where they actually properly explained how zombies began. Before this, we just had rumours, we had little bits of information here and there, but no one in the community 100% knew how zombies really began. We just had the idea that it was a little project that Treyarch wanted to do on the side. Only a couple of people worked on it. They secretly put it in the game in World at War as an Easter egg for completing the campaign, and that's pretty much all we knew. It was combined of glitches and mistakes and other things like that, and that's how Nacht and Untoten World at War Zombies first began. However, like I just said, at this conference a few weeks ago, Treyarch fully explained how Call of Duty Zombies began, and this is what they said.
You know, it started as this Easter egg in World at War. Yeah. I'd be curious to hear the history, and I know a lot of you guys have been, you know, involved in it since the beginning. Where did this come from? Because, you know, at the time, Call of Duty was very much, you know, rooted in reality, and, you know, following the franchise from when it started, it was, you know, very real. And it was cinematic at times, but, sure, you know, super real. So this concept of kind of just twisting things a little bit and introducing zombies, like what was the genesis of that inside the studio?
Well, I mean, one thing that you kind of can't take away from the creation of it is that the time in the project when it was created, yeah, which was right at the very end. right at the point when teams are the most stressed. Everything's kind of being packed in. You're trying to lock a game down. And so subsequently, there's so many different stories about where it kind of came from, because all the different voices.
Everyone's taking credit, in other words. Yeah.
But what I can say, and again, holding the torch for it at the moment, part of my job was to go back and kind of talk to people and look at stuff and find out different opinions on it. It came from the design department.
Okay.
And that idea was floated, and then different groups in the studio kind of came together and started adding stuff.
Was it like let's put zombies in the game, or let's come up with a different game mode, or?
To my understanding, it was looking at the assets they had. They had I think it was Peleliu. I think it was an explosion with these kind of soldiers stumbling around the place, and the comment was they looked like zombies. So it's like use that animation, kind of bring that in, and then kind of different groups, different areas. Be it sound or animation.
I'll never forget. 2:00 in the morning when I got a request for zombie sounds. I'm like, wait, what? We're making Call of Duty, but it's just grown and turned into something so special especially for us.
Yeah, and that's why it was, and because of that way that it was created, that's why it's something that we're very proud of, which was different people just coming together and making something, just adding the different kind of talents, the different kind of groups. It was something that at the time lots of people said we shouldn't do.
Right.
And I wasn't actually on the project at that point in time, but I would have said that as well.
Well, and it's just so different, and you said it's one thing to have an Easter egg, right, or a zombie that shows up in a level or something. But this was, like a new game mode, that the idea of waves, of sort of, that whole idea. I mean, Adam, you were obviously involved in, animation and thinking about, what this was going to be. But the game mode and that concept of these waves, like, where did that come from?
It was. So as it's been told to me, it was that idea of kind of tower defense.
Yeah.
The idea of tower defense games that were very popular.
True. I think you're right. I do remember that.
On Flash games at the
yep,
time.
Exactly.
And that's where, being able to kind of jump in there and then use 3D assets and a first-person experience for tower defense was very novel. Yeah. And, the big kind of love of zombies hadn't really caught steam. So we were one of the first to be there, doing the kind of zombie material. But it was so out of left field that the part of the conversation with Activision was, okay, you can put it in, but we're not going to promote this. We're not going to talk about this with anyone. And I think, to be honest, part of its success was due to that. Yep. Because then it became the kind of people's game. It was the people's mode. Rather than if we'd promoted it and marketed it.
I remember it because we were doing an episode of a TV show, and I think it was like the week before launch or something, and then we just sort of hinted at this other thing, and I think everyone online was like, what are they talking about? Because you're right, it was pretty hidden. Like, how was it close to not happening?
Absolutely. I mean, there was... we had to put it in front of certain Activision executives. Yeah.
And it was unnamed Activision.
It was done in a kind of closed room. I mean, I've told this story before, but it's put in this kind of closed room where we'd bring an executive in and say, okay, play this, and then, we don't need to do this, you can walk away.
Right.
And then we'd get emails back that would say, I got to round 20.
Right.
I got to round 25. So these executives were like getting so competitive about it. Yeah. That's when we kind of knew that we had to kind of put it in. But it was, again, just to kind of go back, it was the fact that everyone in the studio started giving more and more time on top of the job they were already doing, adding things in from the different disciplines to make this thing come to life.
So Jason Blundell tells us that Zombies was created right at the end of the World at War cycle. Just as everything was being packed into the game, everything was being touched up and they'd pretty much finished, that is when this idea for Zombies came around. But he tells us that the idea for Zombies came from the Treyarch design department. It originated from there, however, different groups in the studio, like the sound department, added in their ideas as well. He says the idea of how the zombies move actually first came around when in-game there was actually an animation of some soldiers that had been blown up, and when they got up and started walking again, their animation of them walking after being blown up, they looked almost like zombies, and so that was how we got the animation of Zombies. And then other groups from the studio started to add other things in as well, from the sound studio, the animation studio, but it was pretty much a last minute thing. It was just everyone coming together from different areas and adding things in to quickly get this game mode done. But what's interesting is he also says that at the time, a lot of people, not just outside of Treyarch, not just Activision, but also a lot of people in Treyarch said that Zombies was something that they shouldn't do. Because Call of Duty was such a, well, it was, I guess, a realistic game, the campaign and multiplayer, because Zombies was so different, obviously not based on realism, a lot of people were skeptical, and a lot of people even said that no, it was a bad idea, they shouldn't do it. And so zombies was actually very close to not being added into the game. I don't know, it maybe could have taken one more person to say no for them to not add it in. As for how zombies actually work, the idea of them adding rounds, making it a round-based game mode, well, Jason said that that idea came from tower defense games, which were actually quite popular 10 years ago during that time. So that's where the round idea came from. Also, during that time, zombies really wasn't a big thing. Nowadays, there are loads of people creating zombies games. We have Dead Island, Dead Rising. There are loads of zombies games out there, but during that time, it was pretty fresh. 2008, there weren't many zombies games, especially like this, 3D ones, out during that time. It was something kind of new. But because this zombies mode was so different to what they did before, Activision told them, yes, you can put it in the game, but they weren't going to promote it. They weren't going to release trailers on it or anything like that. Treyarch weren't allowed to talk about it. I don't know, I guess Activision just didn't want zombies to be the main focal point, whereas nowadays it is. Zombies, in my opinion, is the main focal point of Call of Duty, especially Treyarch's anyway, whereas back then, Activision didn't even want to promote it. It was just this hidden Easter egg that you could unlock after completing the campaign. And that was actually part of the success of zombies, because they didn't talk about it for such a long time, because there was no trailers for it, it was a secret, there was no story behind it. It was up to the community to come up with all of this, which is why I think zombies was so successful. The storyline started with the community coming up with ideas, we came up with our own story, and it was only later on, I guess DLC 2-3, where Treyarch started to add story for themselves. So there we go, that's how zombies was created. It was something that nearly didn't happen, but you know what, it did. And if you look at it now compared to where it was, it's freaking awesome. But anyway guys, that is all for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do, drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel, and until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, goodbye.